What is the path of the beloved? Well, it's a path that has been lost in its truth from this planet for quite a long time. And at its heart, it is a path of two beings that are using the alchemy of sacred sexual union to come back together into the purity and union of their own divine selves. So, what does that mean? Well, that means that relationship becomes the pathway, which includes the sexual union of the couple, very much so, for the alchemizing of the lower self, which is the conditioned fear based self, into union with the higher divine self. So it is an ascension pathway in its highest levels. It is really a pathway for the highest twin flame soulmate journeys, back into union, into the yin and the yang, if you will, the original template of creation of the feminine and the masculine together. And so the couple, irregardless of gender, because in each couple there will be a feminine and a masculine presence, will be utilizing the container of the relationship to find their way back into the transcendence of the divine self. And so the love that they develop for one another, in addition to the patterns of healing and mirroring that come up to test and challenge that love, will become the catalyst for them to ascend their consciousness and ascend into a state of union actually with the higher self. And I think this is talked about a lot in some of the sacred sexuality circles, but this is a very concrete thing. It's not something vague. It's ascension science, and as such, it can be monitored as a process to know exactly where one is and where the partner is, so you can understand your ascension path. Ultimately, the teachings of the path of the beloved, as the ancient mysteries of the feminine divine, were ascension teachings. And so the goal is not simply just to become conscious sexually. That's a path, and it's a fine path, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're not talking about simply knowing yourself as a sexual being or exploring yourself as a sexual being. We're actually consecrating our sexuality to our ascension process and consecrating it into the divine will of our higher being, and really instigating a process of coming into union and alignment with that higher self and that higher being, so we can become the embodiment, the living embodiment of the divinity that we all have the potential to become when we are able to transcend those fragmented parts of our human self over many lifetimes, over many soul fragmentations, where we have forgotten the wholeness, the holiness, the innocence of our being, of our inherent innocent divine nature. So it's not a simple path, but it is a beautiful one. And that's the topic of the teachings that I give on this topic of the path of the beloved. So if you feel called to this path, I will be offering many different tools, a lot of different content and courses that can help you understand the framework and the map that this particular path can provide in the unfolding of your spiritual evolution. At its foundation, it is a spiritual evolution path towards ascension and union with the higher self. So if that feels resonant with you, it's something that you're called to do. That is the wisdom container that I like to share. It is the path I have traveled with my beloved higher self, and also with my beloved twin flame. And I'm happy to share this wisdom and to bring this back into the heart-centered focus and concentration that this path was meant to be, sort of moving beyond a space simply of exploring sexuality to really transcending the sexuality into the space of our divinity. So thanks for joining me.